Hello friend, this is Ryan Hicks of TalkToProfit.com. Today I want to talk to you about a secret that the rich know that poor people believe the exact opposite about. There was a poor person who was mentioning that an item that a rich person had was something they always wanted since they were a kid. And the rich person said this seemingly clueless statement of, well, then you should get it. People criticize this rich person saying, well, you don't understand. Poor people can't afford that. You just are out of touch and blah, blah, blah. But see, the real thing that this poor person had was a shrinking and lack-filled expectation, and the rich just expect abundance. We realize that if you really want something, you can have anything you can believe for. And until you make a decision for something, to have something, not just wishing and daydreaming, but when you really decide, I'm going to have that, that's going to be mine, you don't need the money for it. You don't need the opportunities available to get it. You haven't made a decision yet. But once you've decided, you open up the floodgates to get that thing, whatever it may be. That's why Jesus said, ask and it shall be given. It's that simple. You ask and you'll receive. And oftentimes rich people understand this and poor people just simply don't. The thought is, well, I got to save up money, or I got to get some credit cards, or I got to do this and that, and well, you know, that's just something that's beyond my grasp. And they have all these things that talk them into doubt, into unbelief, into lacking faith in God. And meanwhile, that rich, abundant mindset says, yeah, if you want it, get it. Because the rich person is not seeing limitations. They're not seeing lack. And this isn't just because they have money, because this is the excuse people will make. Well, if I had your money, then I could say that too. But no, the rich person is seeing abundance. That's how they got to where they are. They saw opportunity. They saw abundance. Everywhere they went, they were getting more and more and receiving infinite blessings coming their way because they believed it. This seems subtle sometimes, the fact that you have to make a decision, but it's not the same as just daydreaming. You have to choose and decide today on that thing that you're so-called want, then you can get it. And if you'll stay unwavering in faith, believing, you will receive it. This is one of the issues people had with Jesus was, well, how is he going around promising people, if you just ask, you shall receive? What about the conditions? What about this and that? What about you can't have that thing over here. Oh, that costs too much money. You couldn't have that. And no, this, you don't understand. I don't have any money. You don't understand. My family is poor. You don't understand, blah, blah, blah. All these excuses, all these limitations, all this lack mentality, all this self-defeated, defeated before you even try mentality. And yet it's really that simple. Ask and you shall receive. And in Matthew 7:7, Jesus says, ask and it shall be given you. I want you to really think about that. Is your mindset an expanded mindset, seeing abundance everywhere, seeing limitations, or seeing opportunities? Seeing lack, or seeing wealth and riches? Seeing defeat, or seeing victory? You can't walk in faith in God and see defeat, and see failure, and see misery, and see suffering, and see lack, and see want, and see limitations, and see hindering. There is an abundance available to you, but you must be one that has faith in God. You must be one that believes and open up the doors for all those opportunities to come your way. And then you have to take those opportunities as they come your way. Because many people, even if they start changing their mindset a little bit and start believing a little bit that there might be some abundance available to them. Because people don't have any problem saying, oh yeah, there's an abundance, just not for me. That's not the case. The only reason it's not for you is because you refuse to believe for it. The only reason it's not for you is because you refuse to stay firm in your faith. Believing God for one day is not being full of faith. You have to continue and remain in that faith. That doesn't mean it's going to take you days and weeks and years, but the reality is you have to stand firm in the faith and the confidence you have in God. And let's face it, many people are in this lack and limitation mentality because they simply don't really believe God. They talk a big game. They talk, oh yeah, I have faith in God. And then they talk about all their misery and suffering and poverty and lack and want as if it's somehow God blessing them or teaching them lessons so they can grow better and get more mature and be more sanctified. Listen, if you want to be more sanctified, get saved. That's simple. Stop with this nonsense that you got to go through all this stuff, these self-caused problems and sufferings, these things you do to yourself because you refuse to have full faith in God. Because many people do that. They think it's spiritual, like, oh, well, if I just talk myself into this, if I just beat myself up, I don't want to have too much because then, then I may turn on God. Well, you don't believe God in the first place, so what are you going to turn on? Your faith is so weak and limited that you see this infinite great abundance around you and believe that God has none of it for you. Believe that God's too limited to give you some. Believe that there's no provision made for everyone else. It's just these select few, and people will babble about the 1%. Meanwhile, they should be in the 1%. The 1%, it should be the topsy-turvy. It should be 1% that are wallowing around in misery and failure and lack and want and refusing to believe. Because it's so obvious. It should be 99% of people out there believe, but they don't. It's the exact opposite. And you see this in every area of life. The people who are successful and constantly pushing and thriving and going from success to success, those are always the rare few among most people. Just refuse to do it because it might be a little bit of hard work at first, because they've been told to work smarter, not harder. So then they somehow think that dismisses the need to work hard at all. They have this mindset that there's something wrong with having more than someone else. Meanwhile, if you live in a Western country and you're, by virtue of the internet, watching this, you probably have a better existence than the vast majority, percentage-wise, of the world. Why do you think you deserve that existence, even if it's mediocre, according to Western standards? Why do you deserve that, but it's somehow wrong for these rich people to have more than you, when you have more than the poor, the really, really poor? Because even in Western countries, the poor people oftentimes are very rich compared to the rest of the world. And I'm not telling you to go around comparing yourself to the rest of the world, because you can always find somebody worse than you. That's not a good standard. The standard should be, what can I believe God for? What can I best operate in faith and receive? Because I asked and I received. Because I asked and it was given to me. And also coupled with that is giving. Being generous, because you do receive more, because you do have faith, because you are firm and confident in your faith in God, and you receive more and more and more, you then give more and more and more. This isn't just for you to become some swamp and take in and take in and take in, hoard up things and money and opportunities, when you can be giving and providing more. But see, here's the key. Many people see that because they still have that lack mentality. They still have that limitation mentality. So they see that giving as something being taken from them, of them having less. Meanwhile, the rich mentality is that when you give, even more is going to come back to you. That giving is not throwing away money, it's an investment that will bring great returns. Now, that shouldn't be the reason why you do it, but you need to understand that that is a reality. Just as if you sow a seed in the ground and you do the proper things, you're going to get a harvest. When you give, it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, shall men give unto your bosom. That's a simple reality. You want to try to understand the basic Christian economy? It's those two things. Ask, and it shall be given to you. Give, and it shall be given unto you. That basically summarizes it. receive abundantly because you believe and you ask in faith. And you give abundantly because you love to bless and give in faith. My friend, I want you to have that rich mentality where you're not seeing lack, you're not seeing limitation, you're not seeing all the reasons why you can't have, why you can't do, why you can't be. I want you to see why you can. Why you can have those things you want, why you can be the person you want to be, why you can do the things you want to do. There is a great abundance in God. Now, I also want to encourage you, get my book, Co-Creators with God. If you really want to ramp this up and really want to work in partnership with God, not seeing lack and limitation, but seeing abundance and operating in that abundance, creating the realities you really want, instead of going with this passive mentality of just letting the world bulldoze you down, but actually being a co-creator with God, operating with God and working with Him to build the best life you could possibly have. Get my book, Co-Creators with God, today. It'll be a blessing for you. My friend, I pray this was a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.